Hello and welcome. Here we are live at my sewing room on a wonderful Wacky Wednesday. And I have to tell you, it is hot here. Not only is it hot outside, but it's hot here in the media area as well. I think there might be something up with that air conditioning. Anyways, welcome everyone. I'm hoping yes, there'll be some people that tune in. Oh, I see Tina's here already. Hi, Tina. Yeah, it's a little warm back here. Anyways, we'll carry on. Carry on and carry on. So today's Wacky Wednesday is all about thread and needles. So, hi Robin, nice of you to join us. Thank you. So thread and needles today. So, if you can tell, I brought a big needle. And of course, if you've got a big needle, you need some big thread to fill that needle. So anyways, that's what we're going to talk about today. Thread and needles. Hi, Anne. All right. So I want to welcome you to Wacky Wednesday at my sewing room. And we are live today talking about thread and needles. Hi, Ruth. So I want to thank you guys very much for all your likes, your loves, all your shares, and all the comments that you provide. Also for visiting us at the store and, saying wonderful things about us. I think that's absolutely great. I just love it. Anyways, if you're looking for us, we are on Facebook and YouTube, and I believe they've got an Instagram thing as well, and I see pictures that come out there. It lets you know about things that are happening, about the wonderful things that people are making. It's great. So I like to just do a very cute, quick shout out to some of our regulars that always join us. Hi, Denise. Yeah, you need that big spool of thread because you're always sewing, aren't you, girl? Lots of projects. All right, so big shout out to Geraldine M, Nancy C, Ann S, Carol and Paul, Ruth C, who's with us today, Tina B, who's with us today, Rose L, Ann L, Carol G, Sandy A, Michelle G, Glenda and Mike, aka Betty and Wilma, Esther R, Robin, who's with us today, Denise B, who's with us today, Mary Zed, Jean and Maui Jim. And of course we call Maui Jim because his favorite place is Maui, and we're very sad to hear that Maui's on fire and terrible things are happening there. Our thoughts are with all those poor people that are suffering through the devastation. We hope they get better soon. Also shout out to Ken M, Ian M, Betty L, Loanne F, and Annette West. I always say that. I'm sorry, Annette W. Anyways, great for you guys to always tune in. So besides being a thread and needles day, can you guess? Can you believe it? It's National Tell-A-Joke Day. Hi, Annelle. Normally, long ago, I think we had International Tell-A-Joke Day. Well, okay, here we are. So I'm going to have to start off today with a couple of jokes, okay? Are you ready? What did the horse say after it tripped? Help! I've fallen and I can't giddy up. Why was Cinderella so bad at soccer? She kept running away from the ball. Can you believe it? Yeah. Why are Christmas trees so bad at sewing? They always drop their needles. And I tell you a joke about a blunt needle, but it's pointless. All right, so talking about needles, my sewing room carries a variety of needles and needle keepers, and most of our needles we have Bernina Schmatz Oregon. And let me just show you a few of the kinds that we have. So of course you'll find these in all of the Schmetz and in the Bernina models. We have leather, microtext, jean needles, jersey needles, stretch needles. Sometimes I need that, sew my clothes, stretch needles, top stitch needles, of course, our wonderful quilting needles, embroidery needles, our favorite things to do. And of course, there is a universal needle, and you'll find all of those needles in both Schmetz and Bernina, and some of the organ needles. Now, Bernina also gives us a few other options. You can get one for fine fabrics. So I'm thinking this is like, you know, that organza or tulle or silk or something, a very fine needle. They also have metallic threads needle. I think that, I don't think I grabbed one from Schmetz, but they have metallic. And of course, the Bernina sergers use the cover stitch needle. Well, this is for cover stitch needles. And a lot of these can be used in your sergers as well. Now, Bernina also offers a foot, which is your punch tool. So these are a series of blunted needles that actually fit into your tool, and they punch little wool into existing wool, and it makes it really pretty, very decorative. I know that we did that once upon a time here and had a marvelous time. So depending on what you're sewing, the thread you're sewing with, you have to have a different needle. Now, the other thing about these needles is sometimes it's hard to see on here what needle is what. So you might want to get a needle keeper. Now, I found a couple of ones that are kind of interesting. This is called My Pad Grab It. It's a sewing machine needle organizer. So they've got all the different types of needles written down, plus the size. So if you've taken a needle out of your machine, you can put it into the size that it is. So if it's a universal 80-12, which is what I use a lot, you can put it there. If it's an embroidery, which I use the 90-14 quite a bit, I put it there when I'm done. Quilting, if I'm piecing, I'd put it in the 75-11. If I'm doing my quilting through all the layers, I do the 90-14, or a top stitch if I'm going to be using thread that is thicker or what. And there's rooms for twin needles, metallic, leather, jersey, microtext. They've got all of them on this pad, and this is really cool. So if you take a needle out, you know it's not used badly yet, and putting in a different needle because of your project, you can store it here. And these are cute little needle pads called My Pad Grab It sewing tools. I think that's really cool. Now, of course, everybody remembers the tomato style. Now, this one's got a lot of other things on here. So if you're not just using sewing and doing that, they have needles for applique, beading, Chanel, sharps, and betweens. So I think this is more for those needles that are for hand sewing, quilting, crewel, beading, applique, betweens, which are the cute little quilting ones for doing your binding. So this is a different kind of keeper, but it would work for your needles as well. But this time, not sewing machine needles, but hand needles. So yeah, so there are a lot of different needles available, a lot of different manufacturers of needles. So those are the ones that we carry here, and they are wonderful. Hi, Loanne, I see your hand waving at me. Thank you so much. So anyways, time for a few more jokes. Are you ready? What did the thread say to the needle? You have a point there. So what's a thread's favorite music? Well, it's anything you can unwind to. And what did the spool say to the thread? Stop spinning me around. Anyways, so talking about threads, we have tons of threads at my sewing room as well. And of course, we stock Percentia, Metler, Wonderfill, Isacord. We still have some Sulky as well. So we've got at least 5 different brands of thread. So let's have a look at some of the types of threads that we have. I know the other day Leah talked about her favorite threads, but I sometimes can't decide which is my favorite. So they're kind of set up for projects or things that you're working on. So of course, if I'm quilting, I like to do cotton with cotton, especially for piecing. The 60 weight percentage is beautiful. And then, of course, we've got large and small threads of the 50 weight, which is good for when you're doing your top stuff. So those are percentage quilting threads. If you're working with anything cotton, they would be a good choice. Also, Wonderfil does that as well. They have cotton threads. These are 50 weight Egyptian cotton. They've got them in the solid colors, or they have them in the variegated colors, so you can make it really fancy. And being 50 weight, they're wonderful to doing your top stitching on your quilting. Now we've also got, I got a 2D thread here, so let's read about 2D thread. It is also an Egyptian cotton, I believe. It usually says on here cotton, Egyptian cotton, 50 weight as well, or is this a different weight? So the weight is usually on here as well. This one's hiding and telling me that it isn't, so that's okay. But those are really great for doing quilting or cotton work. Now, if you're a purist, you like keeping your cotton with your cotton, but if you're not, you can add poly. That's wonderful. Or rayon, or metallic, or sparkly. Anyways, I like it. YLI has some really nice 40 weight cotton threads called Designer, and those come in a great variety of colors, and they're poly, and you can use those for your quilting. It's lovely as well. Or if you're clothes sewing, those work as well, polys. All right, we also have some fun metallic type threads. These are really pretty. This one's called Dazzle, if you couldn't tell. And then without the sparkle, the Razzle. These are beautiful. They're a rayon thread, and those are great for decorative stitching. So if you're going to be doing some fancy work on top of your quilt, maybe you're going to do some couching. Or the other day when Deborah Louie was here, they were using some of those 12 weight threads to make some decorative designs using their stitches, their wonderful decorative stitches on pillows and quilts and things. So you don't have to just use cotton. You can use some of the poly and some of the rayon. However, if you're going to go to something a little bit heavier, you really need to go to that top stitch needle. Top stitch needle offers you this, especially this one, maybe 100 weight is better than the 90, but it offers a bigger eye, so the thread does not shred so much as it goes through the eye as you're working, and it will accommodate the thicker, even 12 weight thread. So that is wonderful. What else do we have? Oh, I like the shiny metallic one. This one is called metallic, of course, and we do have metallic needles. So if you're going to use something like this, it's wonderful. I was told when I'm using metallic, because it has a memory, it remembers its curl, to try and put it on an external spool pin and feed it over. That way it has a chance to kind of unkink by the time it gets through your needle, but you also want to have a metallic needle for that. Okay, there's a metallic needle right there, and it as well has a good eye opening so that it doesn't shred the thread. All right, what else have we got? Oh, well, okay, now if you're one of those people that likes to do quilting, but you really don't want to see the quilting, you just want to see, not the color, but the quilting itself, Wonderfil does something called Invisifil, and these are very fine 80 weight threads. And they're just absolutely beautiful. So if you pick one that matches to your background color, you'll see more of the stitching and less of the color of the thread, which is really kind of cool. And of course, there's also Deco Bob out there. Deco Bob is extremely fine. It's 100 weight. We sometimes use this in bobbins and decorative stitching on your quilts. It's very pretty. We've got some really nice Polyfast as well. So this is a bit heavier. It's a 40 weight, but you know, you can quilt your tops in 60, 50, 40, and decorative stitches even down to the 12 weight. You just have to slow it down, use the right needle. And of course, this is one with a D twist, which is kind of wild. When you look at it, it kind of gives you that, ooh, it's hard on the eyes, but it's beautiful. Now, if you are thinking about, you know, economizing and getting lots of thread for your dollars, Wonderfil has, of course, the confetti, which is the 50 weight thread. So if you're going to be doing some long arming or lots of quilting, these would be an economical deal for you because you get a lot of thread on each of these. And of course, you can also get it in poly. This is a tribal 40 weight poly, 3-ply, lots of color, works really nice on your long arm. Also the Wonderfil's Master Quilter. This is quilting polyester. It is wonderful as well. 40 weight, 3-ply, and they come in a variety of colors. So if you want to save a little bit, instead of buying smaller spools, you can use the larger ones that Wonderfil provides. Okay, also got to remind you that this is the week My Sewing Room presents the Super Summer Savings. It's 30% off thread, and that applies to regular priced and in stock thread. So that is a great deal. You can come in person to the store anytime between now and August 20th, which is the last day of the sale, or you can go online and use the Super Sum 7 code and get your thread for 30% off. So that's wonderful. So now we've got needles, we have thread. What else? What else? Well, let me see, where are we at? Well, okay, so the Super Summer Savings are continuing throughout the whole summer. And I know that tomorrow is the Tabitha Tote class. So if anyone who is attending the Tabitha Tote class tomorrow and you haven't picked out your threads, now is a perfect time to get those threads because they're 30% off during this week. All right, that's awesome. I also want to show you something else. I was looking through some of our really cool embroidery designs, not only from OESD but from Scissor Tails. There's also some Kimberbell ones on, but next week all of the OES designs for CD, you know, when you do your embroidery, if they're $100 or less, they're only $20. If you're doing a big package, they're over $100. They're like a collection. Miss Chelsea was telling me they're 50% off. How could you beat that? So that's all next week for the OESD designs. That goes from August 21st to August 27th. That's really cool. But I went looking and I found one that I thought was very appropriate for what we're doing. It's got the needles and the thread and the scissors and the buttons and the pins and some safety pins. It's called So by Benartook Studios, of course, and it's an OESD design. It's collection number 80098. There's 12 different designs in there, and they're all about sewing, which is wonderful. It's what we do. We sew, we make things, we quilt, we make clothes, we do bags, we do all sorts of things. So I thought this one was really a lot of fun. Anyway, so next week, OESD designs are on sale. Got to tell you that that is a lot of fun that we're having with all of these sales. It's been great, and I'm glad that you've been able to participate and come in and do it. So I have a couple more jokes for you, if you don't mind. I was trying to make a pun about threads, but I just couldn't tie it all together. Yeah. And have you heard about the new thread platform? I hadn't, but everyone is really tied up in it. Now, we have a friend of ours who moved to Saskatchewan and is now living on a farm. So this joke is for Nancy C. Are you ready, Nancy? I know you've turned into a farmer. Okay, here it goes. Why did the farmer keep putting spools of thread in his tractor? Someone told him it was a sewing machine. Anyways, that one is specially for our wonderful little Nancy. Okay, so on the theme of all this sewing and wonderful things, we have 2 lines of fabric in the store that are tons of fun. One of them is called Best of She Who Sews. And of course, it is a collection that includes spools of thread, believe it or not. It has pins, it has measuring tapes, it has little tomatoes for your needle keepers or your pin keepers. It's adorable. And it also has buttons, more thread, pin cushions, and threads in different colors. So it's really cool. We also have one other line of fabric that's kind of fun, which I put out. It was called I've Got a Notion. And that one is the one with the really cute scissors and buttons and pins and things. So those 2 lines of fabric are just so much fun, and they are just adorable. Oh, Nancy's tuned in. She said she liked her joke. I'm like, glad you liked your joke, Nancy. Anyway, so that's where we're at. Just to remind you, up till Saturday, in person, 30% off thread. Online until Sunday night. It's online for 30% off. And then next week, starting Monday, the 21st, it's the OESD designs along with scissor tail designs. Those are going on sale. Now, if you want to use all those things that we just talked about, Leah has a brand new class coming out. It's called Edge to Edge Quilting Class. This is using the Amelie Scott Edge to Edge designs. And that class is coming up, and you can put all of this to work, your needles and your threads, and you can have a wonderful time stitching. The class is September 18th. It's $75 plus tax, and it goes from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Leah's teaching this one, so that will be fun. Now, before I sign off today, I just want to remind you too that sewing doesn't have to be clothes. It doesn't have to be quilting. It can be garment making, of course. Yes, sews, clothes. Bags like the Tabitha tote, but it can also be your furniture. Miss Ann has got a Tuffet class running this month in September, and they are delightful. So for that, you'd still need thread, you'd still need your needles, you need some fabric, but you could build some furniture with your items. That would be really cool. Anyways, I hope everybody is having a okay time and surviving our heat wave. We've actually got some water rationing here, so remember, don't, take it easy with the water, I guess, but keep hydrated, keep cool, and I will sign off. I hope you have a super week, and I'll see you next time on Wacky Wednesday at my sewing room. Thanks, everybody. See ya.